On February 15, 1898, the USS Maine explodes in Havana Harbor. By 1898, the U.S. has become an industrial power and has begun building an overseas empire through the annexation of Hawaii. Conversely, the great Spanish Empire, established in the Age of Exploration, and once the mightiest in the world, is in decay. Most of Spain's overseas possessions had either fallen into the hands of others or won independence. The Cuban people are in revolt, fighting Spain for independence. To protect U.S. interests in Cuba, President William McKinley sends the USS Maine to Havana Harbor. A massive explosion of unknown origin sinks the $2 million battleship, killing 266 of the 355 on board. Without evidence, Spain is blamed, and the Spanish-American War begins. The fighting lasts only a few months. When the smoke clears, Cuba has won independence and Spain has lost what was left of her American and Asian empires. The U.S. gains Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. U.S. Ambassador to Britain John Hay calls it a splendid little war. You can actually see the mast of the USS Maine in Arlington National Cemetery, right there near Washington, D.C. It's close to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. You can't miss it there. It's also really close to the memorials to those that died on the Challenger and on the Columbia, and also at the during the Iran embassy rescue. Those three are right side by side there near the Maine. The Spanish-American War is an event that really pushes Teddy Roosevelt into the public eye, and it's the beginning, you might say, of his meteoric rise. So when the war breaks out, he's the Assistant Secretary of War, and he resigns, and then he becomes a part of the Rough Riders and fights in Cuba. And after that, he's elected governor of New York, and then after that, he's elected vice president, and then he becomes president when William McKinley is assassinated. And all of that happens in a period of just over 3 years. So he goes from Assistant Secretary of War to President of the United States and all that other stuff in between, which is pretty interesting, I think. And our youngest president ever, even younger than JFK when he took office. Now, the Philippines, when this is all over, they want what Cuba wanted. They want independence. But the U.S. refused. And in fact, we send troops to the Philippines to force the islands to submit. It is definitely not our proudest moment here as the United States of America. And in fact, you could certainly say it's antithetical to our core principles of democracy and basic rights that we certainly took away from the people of the Philippines. But I mean, the argument of the United States was, it's this age of imperialism, and the Philippines were our gateway to China, and so we decided that was more important than the Filipinos having the freedom that they wanted. Now, in World War II, of course, in 1942, the Japanese take control of the Philippines from us. It was a U.S. possession, a U.S. territory at that point. And Filipinos fight right along the side of American soldiers to defend the Philippines throughout the war. And then, of course, not long after World War II is when we grant the Philippines their independence. The largest of all of the United States overseas cemeteries, of which we have many, but the largest of all of them by far is the one right there in Manila, and it's a very beautiful location. If you've liked what you've seen today and you want to get more of Mr. Lewis, which who doesn't, well, then it'd be great if you would like and subscribe. And then, of course, you can watch another great Mr. Lewis video right here. And you could also watch another one right here. Thanks again.